East Texans spent this evening at the Longview Arboretum honoring the memories of lost loved ones. Heartsway Hospice of Northeast Texas held their annual Christmas event, Love Lights at Christmas. They did it for people who died in hospice service within the last year. East Texas News Weekend Andrew Culver reports hundreds of luminaries now shine bright to tell their stories.
Heartsway Hospice of Northeast Texas added on to their already bright lights at the Arboretum. While the event is traditionally for those who died in hospice care, people donate to the nonprofit to have anyone remembered. Some people in the community come back every year.
I'm here today to honor my mother. She died of glioblastoma, brain cancer. We do this every year since 1995, actually. If you stop and think about it, how many lights are lit, candles are lit, it's a lot of people. And this is probably not even close to the number of people that have passed away.
Each bag contains a lit candle inside a mason jar, and the corresponding name glows with the light. Rex Fennell with Heartsway Hospice says they hold the event in December because Christmas is the season of hope.
It's a reminder when you see this many, like, okay, I'm not alone. There's other people that have lost loved ones that are out here too, and it's just a great reminder that we don't walk in that path of grief alone.
The over 30-year tradition has changed locations throughout Longview. Fennell says the lights at the Arboretum complement the goal to spread joy at Christmas time.
It's just a genuine love for the people that we love, you know, and remembering them in a peaceful atmosphere. People are kind of looking for other people to reach out to, you know, and hopefully they can get that here.
Andrew Culver, East Texas News Weekend.
This year, Heartsway Hospice lit 515